Hey, welcome back to another video in our security series for our jokes database. I have on the screen here in front of me the users table. So we're looking in phpMyAdmin. And you can see that all of these passwords are stored in clear text. So let's say that the user was very sophisticated. The hacker got through and was able to get an entire database. If the user's passwords are clear text like this, it's obvious you can log in and use their name. So we would like to encrypt their passwords using a hashing technique. So I have on the screen in front of me a nice page called sitepoint.com. They've got good tutorials. And I'm looking at their PHP commands for password hash, password verify, needs rehash, and get info. And so all of these here are the core of this next solution for upgrading. So let's take a look at some of the details here. It says there was a previous function called crypt, and it's prone to errors in programming. So you also would find that it's using an maybe even out-of-date password hashing algorithm called MD5. So we're going to use the newest one that's simpler, and it's going to look like this. We're just going to have a command called password hash, and then use a parameter that's predefined for us called password default. So let's see if we can make this work. So let's come back into our app, and I am looking for process new user. This is where we create the user passwords. And so we're going to start by modifying just a few lines here, and then we will have secure passwords. So let's come up to the parameters here, and you can see that we have the new password, and we are going to hash it. So we're going to invent a new variable. We'll call it hashed password, and it will be the result of the function called password hash. So we're going to take the new password that the user gave us and then use the parameter called default password, password default, and that will hash the password for us. So now when we come to the insert statement further down the page, so instead of inserting the new password 1, we're going to put in the hash password. All right, and so there we have ourselves a password hash. Now there's a problem here, is we're not using prepared statements here, so we can fix that in a moment, but let's see what a hash password looks like here. So let's save it and try to create a new user account. So I'm going to click here to register and try to use new username. So let's put in the word Kim. So let's type in a long password, ASDF, ASDF, and I'm going to use 1, 2, 3 and an exclamation mark. So that should be long enough and complicated enough. Okay, create the new user. So it says it was created, and here's my password, and let's go check the database to see what it looks like. So I switch over here to the My phpAdmin and do a browse, and now look at the password. Kim has a password that is completely unreadable. So that is pretty long. Now, as we've maybe tested in other environments, sometimes you can Google a password that's been hashed and see if you can get any results. So let's just put it in our browser and paste it. And it says here there are no search results. So it appears like they're salting their passwords. They're using a hashing algorithm that's secure. And we no longer can guess their password, even if it were cracked by a SQL injection attack. So the first thing I want to do is create a new statement object, and it is the result of a prepare method. And so we'll copy and paste the SQL statement from our previous line and put it into the parameter spot. But instead of using variable names, we use question marks. So then the next item right after this is to use the bind parameter function. And we are binding two different strings to the question marks. So we'll use a SS and then the two variable names. Finally, we'll execute the statement, and then we will modify the last part to see if the number of rows affected was more than 0. So we'll execute this statement. Let's also save the result as a variable called result so that we can check to see if the result exists, then we'll consider it a registration success. Otherwise, we'll say it didn't happen and something went wrong and you didn't get registered. So let's save that, and let's go back and try to register a new person. So I'm going to put in Kim5 this time, and I'm going to put in the exact same password before. Let's see if it happens. Let's try register the new user. And it says it worked. I put in the passwords and it registered her. So let's go check the database. let's see, if I browse again, I can see I've tried several KIMs and it looks like the fifth one has worked. Now you can notice that each time I've used actually I did try to register the same password each time, and it is hashing to a different string each time. So it is certainly a secure way to create passwords.